Commander Zarthak stood on the bridge of the HFY Empire's flagship, the Void Reaper, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of the human colony world below. New Terra, they called it their first venture beyond their home system. A pitiful collection of prefabricated structures and hastily terraformed land, barely a decade old. It should have been an easy conquest. Status report. Zarthak growled, his scaled skin rippling with irritation. Lieutenant Vex Lore, a young officer with more enthusiasm than experience, stepped forward. Sir, the initial landing parties have established a perimeter around the main settlement. We've encountered minimal resistance. Zarthak's upper eyes narrowed. Explain. Well, Sir Vexlor hesitated, mandibles clicking nervously. We've lost contact with several squads. No distress signals, no signs of combat. They just vanish. The commander's tail lashed in agitation. Impossible. These humans are primitives. They have no technology that could mask their presence from our sensors. With all due respect, Sir, interjected Captain Krell-Nax, Zarthak's most trusted advisor. Perhaps we've underestimated them. The reports from the ground teams are unsettling. Zarthak turned his massive frame towards Krell-Nax, towering over the captain. Unsettling how? Krell-Nax's exoskeleton paled slightly. The troops speak of shadows that move against the wind, of whispers in empty corridors. Entire outposts go dark, only for us to find them completely abandoned, not a drop of blood spilled. The commander scoffed. Superstitious nonsense. These humans are flesh and blood, nothing more. We will crush them like we've crushed 1,000 species. Before he turned to his communications officer. Send in the Drakkari shock troops. I want this pathetic resistance quelled by nightfall. As the orders were relayed, Zarthak couldn't shake the unease that had settled in his gut. He'd led the Kazoran armada to countless victories, but something about this campaign felt different. Deep in the forests of New Terra, Major Marcus Steele watched through his enhanced optics as another Kazoran dropship descended through the atmosphere. His camouflage suit, a marvel of human ingenuity, rendered him virtually invisible to both visual and thermal detection. Sierra Actual to all units, he subvocalized into his neural link. New boggies incoming. Maintain Ghost Protocol. I repeat, maintain Ghost Protocol. Acknowledgement lights winked green in his heads-up display. 200 of Earth's finest special operators scattered across the colony, ready to continue their deadly game of cat and mouse. Beside him, Lieutenant Connor Wraith Anderson materialized from the underbrush. Sir, Team Echo reports successful deployment of the psi emitters. The aliens are starting to get jumpy. Steele allowed himself a grim smile. The psi emitters were a stroke of genius from Earth's xenopsychology division devices that emitted frequencies that played havoc with the Kazoran nervous system, inducing paranoia and hallucinations. Good work, Wraith. How's our stockpile looking? We've salvaged enough alien tech to arm another platoon, sir. And Sergeant Joe's team managed to hack into their comms. We're getting a real-time feed of their chatter. Steele nodded approvingly. Excellent. Time to turn up the heat. Initiate Operation Phantom. As Wraith faded back into the forest, Steele reflected on the weeks since the invasion began. The Kazorans had expected an easy victory, broadcasting their intentions across all frequencies. Instead, they'd found a colony seemingly abandoned only to have their forces slowly picked apart by an enemy they couldn't see or fight. Human ingenuity, it turned out, was a terrifying thing when pushed to its limits. Aboard the Void Reaper, Commander Zarthak's rage had reached a boiling point. Another week had passed, and still, the human resistance eluded his grasp. The reports from the surface had become increasingly erratic, troops firing at shadows, entire squads deserting their posts, claiming to hear the voices of long-dead comrades. This is unacceptable, he roared, smashing a control panel with one massive fist. We are the Kazoran Empire, conquerors of 1,000 worlds. How can we be thwarted by these hairless apes? Captain Krell-Nax approached cautiously. Commander, perhaps it's time we considered more drastic measures. Our forces on the ground are demoralized and... No, Zarthak's eyes blazed with fury. I will not suffer the dishonor of defeat at the hands of primitives. Prepare my personal shuttle. I will lead the next assault myself. As the bridge crew scrambled to obey, Lieutenant Vex Lore's voice cut through the chaos. Sir, we're detecting a security breach in Hangar Bay 3. Zarthak spun towards the young officer. Explain. One of our dropships. It's powering up without authorization. It's launching. The commander watched in disbelief as the stolen craft shot out of the hangar, expertly evading the Void Reaper's defensive fire. As it disappeared into New Terra's atmosphere, a cold realization settled over him. The humans were no longer content with defending. They were taking the fight to him. Major Steele gripped the alien controls of the K.A. Joran dropship, his neural implants working overtime to interface with the unfamiliar technology. Beside him, Wraith and Sergeant Miyako Silence Tanaka monitored the ship's systems, ready to counter any attempt to regain control remotely. Sierra Actual to all teams Steele broadcast. Phase 1 complete. Initiating Phase 2. Standby for codename Trojan Horse. As they approached the Void Reaper, Steele couldn't help but marvel at the audacity of their plan. Months of preparation, countless close calls, all leading to this moment. They'd studied Ka-Zoran physiology, psychology, and technology. They'd turned the aliens' own arrogance against them, becoming the ghosts that haunted their nightmares. Now, it was time to end this war. The dropship slipped into the hangar bay, the Ka-Zoran crews too stunned by the apparent return of their lost vessel to react immediately. By the time alarms began to blare, Steele and his team were already moving through the ship's corridors, their adaptive camouflage rendering them nearly invisible. Remember, Steele subvocalized as they approached the bridge, non-lethal takedowns only. We need prisoners for intel. The bridge doors hissed open, and chaos erupted. Ka-Zoran officers fell to precision stun blasts and neural disruptors before they could even register the threat. In seconds, only Commander Zarthak remained standing, his massive frame somehow even more imposing up close. So the alien commander growled, his voice a mix of fury and grudging respect. The ghosts reveal themselves at last. Steele deactivated his camouflage, locking eyes with Zarthak. Commander Zarthak of the Ka-Zoran Empire. In the name of the United Earth Government and the colony of New Terra, I demand your immediate and unconditional surrender. Zarthak's laugh was like grinding stone. Brave words, human, but I am Ka-Zoran. We do not, sir. His words cut off as Wraith and Silence materialized behind him, neural disruptors pressed to the base of his skull. The commander's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in defeat. Well played, humans, he muttered. Well played indeed. Word of the Void Reaper's capture spread through the Ka-Zoran fleet like wildfire. Faced with the loss of their flagship and the terrifying efficiency of the human special forces, the remaining ships quickly surrendered. As the sun rose over New Terra, Major Marcus Steele stood before a makeshift prisoner camp, addressing the captured Ka-Zoran officers. Commander Zarthak, bound but unbowed, glared from the front row. Gentlemen. Steele began, his voice carrying across the silent crowd, you came to our world seeking easy conquest. Instead, you found that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We will not roll over and accept subjugation. We will fight, with every ounce of ingenuity and determination we possess. He paused, letting his words sink in. But we are not cruel. You will be treated fairly, in accordance with interstellar law, and when you return to your empire, you will carry this message: Earth is not to be trifled with. We do not seek conflict, but we will not shy away from it. Remember the ghosts of New Terra, and think carefully before you ever raise a hand against humanity again. As Steele turned to leave, he caught Zarthak's eye. The alien commander gave him a small, almost imperceptible nod, a gesture of respect from one warrior to another. The battle for New Terra was over. But as news of the human victory spread across the galaxy, a new chapter in interstellar relations was just beginning. Humanity had announced its presence on the cosmic stage, and the universe would never be the same.